So, okay, you want to move on to the third?
Yes, and the third proposal relates to the legal services program. As I mentioned earlier, this is a priority service under the Older Americans Act, and this particular budget item relates to another grant opportunity that we had earlier in the year, and were successful in terms of bringing in some additional federal funds to support this effort as well. CDA is requesting $563,000 in federal local assistance expenditure authority to implement this grant. Just in terms of background, as the designated state unit, CDA receives Older Americans Act funds, which, as I mentioned, we allocate through the 33 area agencies on aging to provide legal services through the network of contracted local providers. In 2009, CDA, in partnership with the Legal Services of Northern California and the Legal Aid Association of California, applied for and received a 4-year federal model approaches to statewide legal assistance systems planning grant. Wow, what a long title for that grant. In implementing the Phase 1 grant, as we'll refer to it, the Department of Aging and Legal Services of Northern California and the Legal Aid Association established a model approaches advisory group, which included representation from the AAAs, local senior legal services providers, members of the Judiciary Council, State Bar Access to Justice Commission, and academic partners, interested academic partners. This advisory group prioritized recommendations for future coordination of work, including increased sharing of tools and resources, increased partnership among the legal services providers and the AAAs, and increased education about legal services with the goal of providing more coordinated and cost-effective legal services that are responsive to the needs of seniors, particularly those who are low income and or have limited English proficiency. The goal really is, even though those senior legal service providers are out in the 33 different planning and service areas, that we work more collectively together in terms of developing more effective and efficient legal services. In May of 2013, as I mentioned, there was an opportunity to compete for a 3-year funding opportunity to implement a Phase 2 of this grant effort. And CDA was awarded a Phase 2 grant and will continue to partner with the Legal Services of Northern California and the Legal Aid Association of California. In this Phase 2 aspect of the grant, we will be particularly focusing on developing statewide guidelines for targeting and prioritizing areas to be addressed using the Older Americans Act Legal Services Funds, encouraging the use of these guidelines at the local level, encouraging, not mandating, but encouraging, identifying best practices in providing the most effective and efficient senior legal services, and sharing these resources broadly so that the limited dollars available can be best leveraged. And finally, how can the senior legal service providers and AAAs partner with other legal service resources in their community to be most effective? So that is the purpose of this budget proposal.
Okay, I thank you very much. Legislative Analyst's Office.
Rashri Kesarwani with the LAO. We have no issues to raise with these 3 budget change proposals from the department.
Okay, thank you. Finance, no comment. Any public comment on the BCPs? Hearing none, we'll be holding these BCPs open pending final actions on the CDA budget and the May revise. So,
thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we're going to be going to the Department of Community Services and Development, CSD. And I'm going to ask Lene Stout, Director of the Department, to come forward. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm bringing my wingman with me, Mr. Wembley. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for the opportunity to testify. I am Lene Stout, and I was recently confirmed as the Director of the Department of Community Services and Development. With me is Jason Wembley, the Chief Deputy Director of the Department. The department administers federal programs dedicated to helping low-income Californians achieve and maintain self-sufficiency, meet their home energy needs, and reside in homes free from the dangers of lead hazards. We work with a network of private, nonprofit, and local government providers across the state to deliver those services. We received 2 federal block grants funded by the United States Health and Human Services Department, which are the Community Services Block Grant, also known as CSBG, and the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, or LIHEAP. In addition, we administer the Weatherization Assistance Program, which is funded by the U.S. Department of Energy, and we also have received a competitive grant for the lead-based paint hazard control program, which is funded by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. All of these programs are offered to eligible low to moderate income Californians. Depending upon the program, income eligibility ranges from 100% of the federal poverty level to 60% state's median income. The Community Services Block Grant is a very unique and flexible grant. It allows local agencies to fund the most effective programs and services for their communities to assist low-income families and to help them move out of poverty. Those eligible for CSBG have incomes at or below 100% FPL. So, for instance, a family of 3, that would be $19,530 a year. In California, we have 60 CSBG eligible entities, which consist of community action agencies, migrant seasonal farm worker agencies, and Native American Indian organizations. As a condition of this funding, entities are required to undertake a local planning process that includes local assessments and hearings, which are used to complete the local plan, and it's submitted to the department. Each organization needs to involve members of the community, and the unique thing about CSBG, the requirement is that the board members have to be composed of a third low income, a third private, and a third public. So there's definitely an opportunity for a voice of the low income to participate in that planning process. We take the plans and aggregate them into our state plan, and we conduct every 2 years we have to submit our state plan, and we have a hearing. Our last hearing was on August 20th, and it was a joint Senate Assembly hearing and to submit our proposed state plan. In 2012, California CSBG agencies provided services to approximately 1.6 million low-income individuals in over 607,000 families. This includes approximately 349,295 children, 63,525 people with disabilities, over 151,358 seniors, and 147,671 people who lacked health insurance. Of the families served, 67% were in poverty with income levels less 100% FPL, and of those, 30% were in severe poverty with incomes less than 50% of the federal poverty level. Services supported by CSBG can range from nutrition and housing to employment, education, asset development, and other services related to building self-sufficiency. Another important CSBG outcome is the Earned Income Tax Credit, or EITC, which is designed to offset a family's federal income taxes, and if no taxes are owed, the filer can still receive the entire amount for which they qualify. In 2012, eligible California filers received on average $2,300. Many of our CSBG agencies around the state offer free tax preparation and filing services to help individuals claim the EITC credit during the tax season. These agencies collaborate, leverage, and partner with other community-based organizations to offer these services and fill service gaps around the state to serve low-income families and help move them out of poverty. In 2012, the community action agencies assisted more than 47,000 low-income participants with tax preparation services, and in the aggregate received $101 million in savings, payments, and credits. Our lead abatement program in 2012, we were awarded with $2.3 million grant to administer. We contract with 5 of our local agencies covering 7 counties, which include Los Angeles, San Bernardino, Fresno, Sacramento, Sutter, Yuba, and Humboldt. to remove lead-based paint from a projected 150 low-income homes. And these homes are targeted with children under the age of 6 or those who have elevated blood levels that show lead in their blood. The Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, or LIHEAP, provides both utility assistance and weatherization to help low-income households pay for their utility bills. The eligibility requirement is at or below 150% FPL, or at the state option 60%, which is what we do here in California. The funds are distributed across the network of local service providers and focus on low-income households with the highest energy burdens and targeted populations, including those with children under the age of 5 and those with elderly and or disabled. With a federally approved waiver, we can weatherize up to 25%, use 25% of the funds to weatherize homes. Weatherization allows for installation of measures to improve the energy efficiency of homes and improve the health and safety of the occupants. The measures include insulation, weather stripping, water heater, blankets, heating and cooling repair systems, as well as combustible appliance repair and energy efficiency lighting. In 2012, we provided 262,861 households with one or more energy service. 166,763 low-income households received utility bill assistance, and emergency home energy assistance provided to over 93,842 households. 22,519 households also received LIHEAP weatherization services. And in addition to these core services, CSD worked with our LIHEAP providers on an innovative solar pilot program which helped 1,482 low-income households take advantage of renewable energy. Our Department of Energy weatherization program, we've actually had a decline in that funding. However, the goal is to decrease the household's energy burden by improving the home energy efficiency. The program and requirements are coordinated closely with the weatherization assistance funded by LIHEAP, so we leverage those programs. On average, the weatherization program reduces energy consumption for low-income households by up to 35%, saving these households more than $400 a year on their energy bills. And we provided services to 2,441 households, and they received the complementary measures in order to weatherize their homes. As far as our budget, currently the department is completely federally funded. We have had some federal fund reductions due to, last year we had some sequestration reductions similar to the Department of Aging. However, for federal fiscal year 2014, the funding is been restored and is at about the 2012 level. With the governor's proposed budget for 2014-15, the total funds for the department would be $331.5 million. That would be $251.5 million in federal funds and $80 million coming from the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, and a total of $302 million being passed through to our local agencies who would provide the services at the local level. And so for the greenhouse gas funds will be used for the cap and trade and support the expansion of the existing low-income weatherization and solar programs, which will improve energy efficiency performance. Since we'll be presenting the part of the BCP that'll be on the greenhouse gas funds, I wasn't going to go into that and just have that as part of the BCP overview. But I know there was also interest in the reinvestment for the naturalization service program.
Before you transition,
sure.
Before you transition into that, let me say we have a colleague here who had asked, has a limited time frame, and asked to address the committee, Assemblyman Luis Alejo, and I was going to just call a pause and let him come up and grab one of the mics, either the one in the middle of the room or one at the end of the, whatever you. Is that appropriate? Yeah. And he's providing testimony today, not a member of the committee.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to the committee members. I'm just here to talk on a very important point. So I'm joining in and support with an effort that has been proposed by the California Immigrant Policy Center, Catholic Charities, the Catholic Conference, and many other groups who are asking for a request of funding of a minimum of $10 million for the Naturalization Services Program. On behalf of the Latino Legislative Caucus, where I serve as vice chair, and all our members, we sent a letter requesting the restoration of funding for this critical Naturalization Services Program, which is administered by the Department of Community Services and Development. Funding for this program was eliminated back in the 2008-2009 budget signed by Governor Schwarzenegger. However, we all know that the restoration of this program would assist over 2.5 million legal permanent residents in California to become eligible for naturalization. These are lawful permanent residents who are simply waiting to become U.S. citizens. 2.5 million is a very significant number. But we know that it will increase civic and political participation and provide greater opportunities for their families. And certainly with federal immigration reform on the horizon, we believe that it's urgent to restore this valuable program in order to give immigrants access to naturalization services and the opportunity to engage in the process towards citizenship, and that emphasizes increased civic engagement. So with that said, Mr. Chairman, I just want to come and emphasize how important this is for the Latino Legislative Caucus, and thank you for giving us some time.
Well, thank you for your comments, and we are in receipt of the Latino Caucus's letter. So we'll take it into account in our decision making. So
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks. And back to Ms. Stout, we, as you were about to address, I think we had asked the question about the history and the outcomes of the NSP program.
Yes, so the Naturalization Services Program was administered by the department from 1998 to 2008. Under the NSP, the department contracted with community-based organizations to assist legal permanent residents in obtaining citizenship. Activities and services performed included outreach, intake, referrals, citizenship application assistance, citizenship testing, interview preparation, and follow-up activities. From state fiscal year 2000 to 2007-8, a total of 118,488 clients were served, and the total amount spent was approximately $23.7 million. The program was last funded in 2007-2008, and the department had been appropriated about $3 million in that year. We contracted with 23 CBOs around the state, and in that year, 9,743 clients were served, and of those, 5,502 received certificates of naturalization. And so that's about, kind of an overview. I know a lot of this was included in the agenda. I was curious myself about, of the total 118,488 clients that we had served through the life of the program, how many had received the certificate of naturalization, which we identified in the last year. We only had one other prior year of that data, and that was in state fiscal year 06-07. There were 11,425 clients that were served, and 6,220 received certificates. So that was the first year that we started obtaining that level of the data. So that's the history that we have on that program.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Does the Legislative Analyst Office have any comment?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mark Newton with the LAO. Just a few very brief comments on the reinvestment proposal. As with any proposed augmentation that's not in the governor's budget, obviously it's a matter of legislative priority to sort of rebalance the allocation of projected surplus funds. Of course, the governor has fully allocated the surplus to various uses, but the legislature may have different priorities. In evaluating this proposal, just one thing to keep in mind just on the cost of the proposal, there is a potential for some offsetting savings with this proposal to the extent that it may alleviate some cost pressure on state-only programs for legal non-citizens, such as sort of the CAPI program, which is Cash Assistance Program for Immigrants, or the CFAP program, which is California Food Assistance Program. So just in looking at the fiscal impact, it may not be the full amount of the augmentation, but with that, with some degree of potential offsetting savings.
You haven't had the opportunity, though, to actually try to analyze or calculate out what that offset might be. Well, should we proceed with this, we might ask for your assistance in helping us to do further analysis. So,
we'll be certainly happy to work with staff, and we'll do an analysis.
we have so many things come before us that are either revenue offsetting or revenue producing, or at least that's the argument for the program, or that it's an investment. And the difficulty usually is in the details of actually trying to pin down what we can actually count to utilize in that, and trying to decide whether there is some offset. So, finance.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Corey Nitschke, Department of Finance. This proposal also was not included in the administration's plan. The reinvestment and augmentation proposal was not included in the administration's plan. The budget surplus is a modest surplus, and with the volatility of the capital gains income, we still need to be vigilant with our commitment to public funds.
Okay, thank you very much. And with that, I'm going to open it up to public testimony. I don't know how many of you were in the room when I said it earlier, but I've always been known as a pretty liberal chair in terms of letting people talk, but the last few chairs of this committee, in order to give everybody an equal chance to talk, have restricted the time that people are allowed. So I'm going to ask that each of you, in honoring that, the chair's policy, I'm not the chair, the usual chair's policy, I'll ask each of you to keep your remarks to 2 minutes, please.
Thank you, Acting Chair. My name is Patricia Diaz, and I'm the Executive Director for Services, Immigrant Rights, and Education Network, Siren. We're based in San Jose. As part of our mission to empower low-income immigrants in Silicon Valley, we've been providing citizenship application assistance for the last 16 years. And I really want to thank you for the opportunity for letting me to speak about the restoration of the program, but also thanking you back in 2001 in restoring the program when it was at risk of being eliminated. As was outlined and as what the department had mentioned, while NSP funded, it contracted with organizations like ours to conduct outreach, intake, referrals, application assistance, test and interview preparation for eligible lawful permanent residents seeking naturalization. Today, while the program no longer receives funding, the need for naturalization assistance only continues to grow. According to statistics from the Department of Homeland Security, nearly 2.5 million lawful permanent residents are eligible for naturalization in California. The process of becoming a citizen has simultaneously become more complicated, with the application doubling in length to 21 pages this year, and application fees alone costing $680. Despite this increased need, the elimination of funding has limited organizations from fully providing citizenship services to California's most vulnerable residents who depend upon assistance, including low-income seniors and limited English proficient individuals who are least likely to apply. The benefits that the state will gain from having more residents naturalized will be well worth the investment. According to a 2012 report from the Migration Policy Institute, naturalized citizens are less likely to be unemployed, better able to weather economic downturns, and experience increased earning power. Over 20% of voting-age citizens in California are naturalized citizens, according to a report from USC, showing their commitment to political participation. Now is the time to reinforce the spirit of what this country and state is all about, both the benefits and responsibilities of citizenship. California has continued to lead the way in passing legislation that supports immigrants and recognizes their full contribution to the state. Restoring the Naturalization Services Program is the next step for our Golden State to lead on immigrant integration. For these reasons, we ask you to support $10 million for the restoration of the NSP program. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your...
And with me today, I have actually brought someone that we assisted to become a citizen who was actually sworn in last week, and she'll speak about her experience.
Wonderful.
Good afternoon. My name is Alexis Adali. I'm from San Jose, and I am proud to say I use a because of USA citizen. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today and tell why I am mean so much to me to have American citizen. I'm born from Nicaragua. I came to the United States in 1973, and I have lived in California since the reason I came to this country was for better life. I have worked hard in my entertime. Here I am housekeeping, and I do assembly work in companies like IBM and Apple Computing. I have a work with other American and duties, and I had to speak English. In 1986, after leaving the country for 30 years, I was finally able to get green card. After grading my green card, I started talking about becoming a citizen. I was able to find signing to help me my application. They're helping me prepare my paperwork, practice to the citizenship interview, and study for the exam. I am proud to say that the last week I was sworn in a citizen of this country, my home, for over 30 years. I'm sorry. And there are two reasons why I believe in now a citizen. My own hard work and drive to become a citizen is a support organization who help me. There are many why that my life has changed now that I am citizen, but one of the most important ways is now I'm able to vote. I see democracy, a word, and want to be a part of it. I am looking forward to voting in the June election and having my voice here. I also hope volunteer in election day to help others vote as well. Becoming a citizen has made me feel even more part of this state in this country. Others who can become citizens should be able to get to help their needs. I ask that you support funding for NSP. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much, and congratulations, and thank you for reminding us of what's so important about this country. We take it for granted, and newcomers, I think, really remind us that we are very fortunate. So,
thank you.
Yes, welcome. Next witness.
Mr. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity to be here today to testify in support of $10 million in funding for the Naturalization Service Program. My name is Shannon Leahy, and I am the Executive Director of Catholic Charities of California United. Restoring funding for the NSP is so important to Catholic Charities that we are focusing all of our efforts at the Capitol on this issue. Catholic Charities serves over 1 million clients every year in most counties in the states. We are the largest non-governmental social service provider in California. Currently, our network assists approximately 38,000 legal immigrants per year through the process of becoming citizens at an average cost of $221 per client. NSP has not been funded since 2008. As a result, we have had to turn away thousands upon thousands of immigrants who need help every year. In some communities, we have had to close our doors. Fresno, Bakersfield, countless other communities. In other communities, we have had to begin charging fees for services. We do not come close to meeting the current demand for services. When we turn people away, they are forced to seek help from individuals who are not authorized to practice immigration law, or they simply do not become citizens. There is very little federal money available for immigration services, only about $9 million for the whole country. $10 million in funding for NSP will help over 45,000 legal immigrants become citizens. It would encourage economic independence and integration into American culture and cultivate a commitment to give back to society. Please devote state money to allow organizations like Catholic Charities to provide dignified immigration services to California's legal residents who need help through the very costly and difficult process of becoming citizens. I respectfully request the subcommittee to include at least $10 million in funding for the NSP prior to concluding your deliberations and report to the full committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next witness.
Hi there. Good afternoon, honorable subcommittee members. My name is Monica Limas, and I am the director for the Center for Employment Training, Immigration, and Citizenship Program in San Jose. As a former grantee of the Naturalization Services Program, our organization respectfully requests funding for NSP to be restored to a minimum of $10 million for the fiscal year of 14-15. Through our program, we are able to assist nearly 2,000 applicants per year. CT conducts client intakes and legal assessments, application assistant, case management, citizenship classes, mock interviews and representation, as well as translation services. Restoring NSP is needed to stop rampant misinformation and confusion within the community regarding the naturalization process, and specifically the new naturalization form. This year, the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services is rolling out a new application, nearly double the length of its previous versions. As a result, we have witnessed an influx of applicants seeking assistance with the new form. Our clients have also reported false information being spread by notarios about the form's changes. In addition to increasing the number of applicants whom we assist, we are simultaneously conducting more community education to provide prospective applicants accurate information about the new form. If NSP were restored, our organization would be able to hire more staff and conduct additional trainings to serve more naturalization clients and provide them with trusted and quality assistance. The cost of misinformation regarding the naturalization process is too severe, and the benefits of more individuals attaining citizenship too great for NSP to remain unfunded. We strongly support and request the $10 million towards the restoration of this program. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next witness.
Sylvia Solis Shaw on behalf of Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti. Mayor Garcetti respectfully requests your help to act on behalf of immigrants in California by restoring the Naturalization Services Program. California, as someone mentioned earlier, is home to nearly 2.5 million legal permanent residents, and nearly one-third of those reside in the city of Los Angeles. Restoring funding for the program would make a positive cultural and economic impact on the state and on Los Angeles specifically. Thank you.
Next witness.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Noé Páramo. I'm with California Rural Legal Assistance Foundation. We're a statewide advocacy organization focused on policy advocacy, outreach and education, training, and litigation. And I'm here today just to support investment on the weatherization and the other programs that you're funding for disadvantaged communities. It's very important because we also focused on rural marginalized communities in the state and the Central Valley. But more importantly, reinvest in the NSP program. We were here last year, we're here again this year, and we're going to be here as long as it takes in order to get this refunded. $10 million is a modest amount of money. You've heard the numbers. We have offices in Fresno, Sacramento, and Modesto, and I'm in Modesto, and 280,000 legal residents are ready for naturalization. And that number faces a huge burden in the valley. There's issues with transportation, going to the centers where these programs are being done in order to get them naturalized. So it's a challenge. And moreover, in the valley, we have high poverty, we have high unemployment, and now we have issues with the drought. Naturalization funding will go a long ways to offset costs that are going to be needed to help these communities. So we look for you to support modestly $10 million for the funding NSP. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next witness.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. It is an honor for me to be here and to speak to all of you. I'm here to encourage and to ask that you all support the restoration of the Naturalization Services Program. And I say this because I am a direct benefactor of the Naturalization Services Program. In the past, and with the help of a local nonprofit organization, I was able to get my citizenship. But not just my citizenship, my ability to vote, but also the civic responsibility to participate in our government. And even as a college graduate, the citizenship process is a daunting task. So you can only imagine how difficult it is for parents and for community members who are limited English speakers to navigate these processes. The NSP is especially important because it provides resources and tools for nonprofit organizations to provide naturalization services. These programs allow refugees and immigrant populations to fully contribute to our society. So I ask that you stand with your fellow neighbors, fellow churchgoers, and fellow Californians by restoring NSP so that legal residents like myself who are able to become citizens can fully participate and contribute to California.
Thank you for your comments. Can you give us your name for the record? I don't think you do.
My name is Tong Tao. I'm also with the Hmong Mien and Lao Community Action Network.
Okay, thank you so much for being here, and thanks for your testimony.
Good afternoon. My name is Grace Lee, and I'm with Chinese for Affirmative Action up in San Francisco. I'm the policy director there, and at CAA, I oversee our immigration programs and advocacy. CAA has been in the community for 45 years providing services, and I can say with certainty that naturalization is the biggest issue that comes through our door with our clients. So as you can guess, I'm here in support of the Naturalization Services Program. The reason why I'm supporting this program is because when the Naturalization Service Program supports community-based organizations like CAA, this is the best practice you can have for California to be investing in the naturalization process. As a lot of speakers have already testified, the process is very complicated and it's also changing rapidly. USCIS is constantly changing the application. It recently increased from 10 pages to what is now 21 pages. The fees are also increasing. They often change the application a few times a year. So those changes are very frustrating for the limited English proficient community to keep up with. They get very confused. That also makes them very vulnerable to scams and fraudulent services. So organizations like CAA, we are best situated to provide the community with up-to-date information about eligibility, determining whether or not they have the right documentation to submit their application. We walk them through the process to make sure every single page of those 21 pages is filled out correctly. And it has been very rewarding work that we can see hundreds of clients come back and say that they became citizens and that they're able to take that oath. And again, just to highlight the scams, I just wanted to share a couple of examples. There are often ads in the ethnic media, on the radio or TV, and these agencies are not certified to be providing immigration services. They charge low-income clients $50 to print out a form, which is actually accessible for free online. We've had clients who have come to us after investing $5,000 in what they thought was a promise that for sure their naturalization application would come back successful, and then that office closed and disappeared. So you can see that this is a serious problem for immigrants who very much want to become citizens. I think this is a very sure investment for California and for our economy, so I hope you can support the program. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Next witness.